work here. You could be here from 9 to 9 every day. All right, we're on live now, but it's not on the air yet. I'll let you know when we're on the air.
Man,
One
this is my
second.
brother, man. This is like my dad right here, man.
Absolutely. We'll treat him with the most respect. 10. Oh, Tiny was telling me a little bit about that. Nice. Oh, that's a long time.
Oh yeah. And then he worked with me. I helped him about 6, 7 years, something like that. And we just broke the hoses together. That's Los Santos.
Los Santos?
Yeah, the soccer team is called the Saints.
Okay.
We call ourselves Los Santos, the Saints.
Right.
And then we got together with the young women. Party in late 30s.
Jaquati? Tresa? Tres Santas. Three Saints. I like that. Tres Santas.
Here you got the older European cat, right? You got the 30-something African American woman,
Right.
and you got the young 20-year-old, 20-something, Mexican kid, right?
Right.
And we were brothers. I didn't keep the trip, because we were the rainbow. We were what, we wanted to be.
Right.
Yeah, it was hella cool. Jaquati would come up, the venue, Jaquati would walk up. They call us up, Jaquati would walk up to the mic, and she started singing, and very often one of our sets, she would start singing about Marvin's redemption song.
Oh, nice.
Right, about the second, third stanza. I'd be somewhere else in the room, in the back, up in the loft, somewhere, and I could bust hard with some shit from mom. We'd get out, and we'd be somewhere else in the room, right? And then he'd bust in, and she'd come back in, we just go back and forth.
That's tight.
Yeah.
Watch out, cat. I got allergies. All right, give me 1 second. Let me test it out on the.
All right.
Mama? No?
Kitten trying to come in. Kitten coming in. What's up, chicken?
Okay, brother, can we do a sound test?
Yes, we can. You ready?
Yes, sir. You are live, so you know, but I'm not sure how the levels are yet.
Okay. So people hear this, or?
Yes, people can hear it. I'm just not sure how good it sounds, but they can hear it.
Okay. All right. So are they hearing this conversation?
Yes. So could you just say, like, mic check 1, 2 for me a few
Yes,
times?
sure can. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. We got a 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a 5, 6. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Coming on down to you. Ooh, could that be a poem? Yeah, we know it's not going to be a song because I can't sing.
Okay, so
You good?
now it's I'm trying to get a little closer to you because it sounds a little distant, and I'll turn off the AC unit right there. Okay, a couple more 1, 2, please.
Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. 1, 2 with the mic check. I got the mask on that muffles a little bit, but I'm being cool with COVID. Mic check 1, 2. We got a mic check 1, 2. We add a 3, 4. Mic check, 1, 2. Got a chicken strolling by. Yes, we do.
Okay. Okay, we can get started. I'm trying to make it sound a little bit better, but it won't get. We can't get much better on the position.
Okay, we're good. You know, as we move on, you know, we deal with what we deal with. You know.
Gotcha.
All right, so give you 5 seconds to get in there and then go, or
You can go right now.
right now?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Hey, y'all. This is Mark G Abolitionist on the air with you at KEXU 96.1 FM LP Revolution Radio, where we explore the connection between imperial war and incarceration. I don't limit myself to being a prison abolitionist, because there are more structures and institutions that I seek to abolish than just incarceration. For example, white supremacy and racism, 2 different things. Male supremacy and patriarchy, 2 different things. Class supremacy and wage oppression, 2 different things. And imperial war. Yes, imperial war is an institution of the American Empire. Let me be very clear. The United States military is an institution, as we all know. However, it serves the institution of imperial war. The need for imperial conquest shapes and defines the U.S. military. In fact, the European settler need for conquest of Indian lands made the development of a military necessary. Any and all who opposed or resisted were killed or imprisoned. The first reservations were in fact prisons. I'm going to talk about Vietnam. Y'all make sure you also hear Afghanistan, Iraq, Palestine, and any and every inner city in America. These are important things to keep in mind. He was a 9 or 10-year-old boy begging for food on the side of the road like hundreds of others. I was riding shotgun in a truck. I was the one with the gun. The driver crushed his skull with a can of sea rations. In the 80s on up into the 90s, he was a 9 or 10-year-old boy standing lookout on the corner. And when the shooting car came around the corner to take out the store, he gets splattered on the floor. In the 90s on up into the 2000s and continuing, he was a 9 or 10-year-old boy swinging a rock-loaded slingshot around his head. And when he looses his rock missile to fly and shatter against the armor of an American-made tank that belches forth a round that blows him beyond the thin blue line that surrounds and divides and separates our communities. Last week I told you all that I was going to get back into defining some of the terms that I use. White supremacy, racism, male supremacy, patriarchy, class supremacy, wage oppression, imperial war, military, and so forth. This week I'm going to talk a little bit about my definitions and the way I use the terms and what I think is going on with white supremacy and racism. I think white supremacy is a hierarchical supremacist system of organization among European and European extracted people, such that all power and all wealth flowed to white. So, white supremacy is a system of organization. It organizes power and it organizes wealth. Racism is an ideological philosophy that justifies, supports, and maintains white supremacist organization through the subjugation, oppression, and punishment of African people. Racism is an ideological philosophy. It's a collection of thoughts, ideas, theories, right, that develop into an ideology that form a philosophy, a way of looking at and interacting in the world. Right? And these ways of thinking, these ways of being, actually being, are designed to justify and maintain white supremacy. Justify. Why do I say it's to justify white supremacy? White supremacy is a system of organization that European people imposed on the rest of the world. And they had already come to conclusions that imposition and enslavement of people was not a way to be. Europe had developed beyond slavery. Europe had gone through the period of serfdom, right, and was evolving out of the period of serfdom when Europeans began stealing people from Africa. It's the development of the stealing of people from Africa to transport them to the so-called New World, the South American and the North American continents, for profit, to create value in these lands, that racism had to come into being, because those actions had to be justified for the European people. Justification comes through racism. So that's the justification. Racism maintains white supremacist organization and structure through constantly renewing itself. The expressions of and the manifestations of racism have changed since the 1500s. Right? And they're continually changing today. And just to touch real quickly on some brief modern stuff, for 100 years from the time of the end of the Civil War, in the period of the Reconstruction, right, at the close of the period of Reconstruction, began the period of Jim Crow laws, of Jim Crow. That lasted a good 100 years or so. Right? And now we have different structures. There's no longer Jim Crow laws, though black people are still being punished, beaten down, incarcerated. Though the manifestations and the expressions have changed. And they've changed because people resist oppression. Right? It's our natural state to be free, and so people always seek to be free, to always throw off the yoke of oppression. And so the oppressor must constantly redevelop, reapply their methods of oppression and the justification for those methods of oppression. As the people who are oppressed, as the oppressed, develop political and social strength and power and are able to make changes in the circumstances of our lives. So, that's the breakdown on how I use these terms. Now, I also said that the justification, the support, and the maintenance of white supremacist organization is accomplished through the subjugation, oppression, and punishment of African people. Racism comes into being with the stealing of people from Africa. Racism did not exist. Racism did not exist in the world prior to the stealing of people from Africa. Yes, there was fear of other, there was admonishment of other, and so forth. But things were not done based on people's skin colors. Things were done based on your city-state, your nation-state, right, your region, not on what you looked like. These are important concepts to understand, as we move forward. White supremacist organization was, I lost the word there. White supremacist organization was imposed on the people of the world. The white supremacist organization was imposed initially on African people and on indigenous people on this continent. And it's through that imposition that people were subjugated. Through the use of force, through the use of arms, people were beaten, mutilated, and killed. To force them into oppressed position. And then the oppression continues on, maintaining people who have been subjugated in oppressed conditions to serve the white supremacist organization of people and society. The oppression takes the form of punishment. That people are punished. People are punished for simply being human beings. This is very important to understand. People don't have to do anything, don't have to oppose anything. Just the mere existence of the people necessitates their punishment. Punishment is beatings. Punishment is imprisonment. Punishment is the destruction of families. Punishment is the destruction of home places, villages, towns, communities. And this continues on. And this continues on today. We think of what is called mass incarceration.
2 hours, right?
Mass incarceration is the imprisonment of masses and masses of people, the overwhelming majority of which are African. This process has been going on since the 1970s, and it intensified and built through the 1980s and the 1990s. In 1970, America imprisoned approximately 750,000 people in the entire country. Today, America imprisons more than 2.5 million people. That's people actively in prisons and jails now. And there are many, many more people who are under state control in varying forms. I'm going to wrap up there for this week. I'll be back next week, and we will continue our discussions. Next week I'll get into male supremacy and patriarchy. And as I cycle through, these various concepts and things, we'll enrich things and so forth. And once I get through the main ones in my introduction, we'll broaden out our discussion and keep moving on. I want to say to y'all, we are the ones we're waiting for. Dare to struggle, dare to win. We say, what's the call? Free them all power to the people. Ashe. How long did I go?
How long did you go?
Yeah.
You got off in just the right time. It's 6:29. I gotta start building this again, so that was absolutely perfect.
So I did about 15 minutes?
Yes, sir. Maybe about 20.
Okay. I'll tighten it down. I'll tighten it down more to 15.
Okay.
Right on. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Right on, man. You take care.
You as well. Oh, weirdo cats. Dude, I come outside to fix up after Mark G's show. And what do I see? These little superstar cats. Y'all getting y'all 15 minutes? Huh? Y'all got a show? I'm producing a podcast for these cats right now. Look. They're on YouTube Live.